Hi and welcome back to ScottiesTech.Info. I'm Scotty with my co-host Cletus. And in this video I wanted to do a review of the Q-Link, more specifically my experiences with the Q-Link. Okay, so first of all, you can watch my first video on this topic up there. I go into various studies that were done showing that the Q-Link protects red blood cells against EMFs, and if people who were exposed to EMFs, their EEGs stabilized when they were wearing a Q-Link and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, you can watch that first video where I talk about the placebo effect and other possible reasons, why this thing might actually work. But the fact is that many people have them and they use them and they swear by them. So I have been wearing mine for about 6 weeks now, and it's been quite interesting. I should probably note, first of all, I am not associated with the company that makes Q-Link. This is not a paid endorsement. I have nothing to do with it. If you watch the first video, I talk about how basically a friend of mine who's a doctor, she said she has one and she wears it when she goes into the big city, and she noticed that it helps her stay focused and calm, and she sleeps better when she wears it and all kinds of stuff, and that's what actually motivated me to try it myself. So as I said, I've been using it for about 6 weeks now, and it's kind of interesting because for the first several weeks, I literally noticed nothing. And I had actually kind of decided that, oops, it maybe either it wasn't doing anything for me or it was just not very good and it did nothing. And so I sort of went, okay, well, I guess it's not doing anything, but I noted that in the instructions that you get with this thing, they say you should wear it for at least 2 months before, give it a good go, because supposedly it's interacting with your body's natural electromagnetic frequencies and reinforcing them, and this is what can help your blood cells and protect you against EMFs and all that kind of stuff. That's the theory. So I thought, okay, well, a couple weeks isn't a long enough time. If you want to be cynical, you could say, well, yeah, of course they want you to keep it for 2 months because, then you'll be too lazy to return it and blah, blah, blah. But I thought, okay, because my friend had such a good experience with it, I'll give it a fair shot. So I did, and I kept wearing it. I wore it every single day. And it was at about the 3-week point where I did actually notice some positive differences. So I live in a rural area, and it's kind of the middle of farm country, and there are 2 cell towers, both several kilometers away. The cell reception inside the house where I live, which has very thick stone walls, the cell reception inside is very bad from these 2 towers. If I'm lucky inside, I might get a 4G connection, usually 3G, and it's usually 1 or 2 bars. In any case, the data rate is very low. It's very hard to connect. I don't have Wi-Fi at home. I don't have Bluetooth anything at home. I don't use a Bluetooth keyboard, Bluetooth mouse, nothing wireless. I have a dumb phone. I turn it on when I leave the house if I need to, and I turn it off before I come back home. So I'm not actually exposed to a lot of EMFs. I try to minimize exposure as much as possible. The nearest neighbors are far enough away. There are actually a couple neighbors nearby, but they don't use Wi-Fi because they're kind of old-fashioned and old, and they one guy actually doesn't even have internet, an internet connection. So I kind of lucked out. So anyway, it's very hard for me to say, well, this thing is protecting me against EMFs. I have never noticed that I'm particularly electrosensitive, blah, 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 right? Okay, so after about 3 weeks, I noticed that when I was wearing this thing, when I went out to town, to the big city, I actually felt much better. Now, historically, what would happen is I would go to town. There's much better, cell coverage. Everybody's got Wi-Fi. I would go to, say, a big box type of store, and there's lots of people. They're all carrying cell phones. There's a lot of advertisements and lights and sounds, and I'm actually kind of sort of a more introverted person. I prefer peace and quiet as opposed to the hustle and bustle, shall we say, of big city life. So I had always thought that well, it's just a thing. I don't have anxiety, or I'm not agoraphobic or anything like that. It's just I prefer peace and quiet to hustle and bustle. So I always thought that this was why, when I would be in a bigger city, at a big box store or whatever, it's just sort of sensory overload. And so I would always feel I could feel fatigued. I would feel tired. I would feel low on energy. Very often, if I was out long enough, I would get headaches. And of course, the minute I came home, I felt better. So, and as I say, I'm not actually diagnosed with any disorder or anything, so I assumed it was just because I'm a peace and quiet person, not a hustle and bustle person. It's just sensory overload, and right. I get home, Bob's your uncle, I'm done. But I noticed that when I wear this thing, it's like I'm actually walking around in this Zen bubble of calm or something. And it's especially interesting because, as I said, I'd been wearing it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I had pretty much concluded that it wasn't doing anything. But I kept putting it on and wearing it all day, every day, just to see, give it a fair go. And I actually went out a couple times, and it wasn't until I got back the second time where I kind of paused and went, hang on a minute. Normally I would feel like crap, but I actually felt pretty good. So of course I did further tests, wearing it, not wearing it, and sure enough, when I wear the Q-Link and I am in situations that I would have found stressful, maybe it's the EMFs, maybe it's sensory overload, I don't know what it is. All I know is that before it was kind of a problem, and now since I've been wearing this thing, it's literally like the difference is like night and day. So I wear this thing around my neck, I go out, and it's fantastic. So I actually mentioned that to a friend of mine who actually watched my first video, and he said, yeah, I bought one of those Q-Link things a long time ago, and so after I watched your video, I got it out and I started wearing it again. And he also noted, he said kind of the same as me, he's like, well, I don't know if it actually works, and he's into, he's an engineer into like electronics and stuff too, so he said, well, yeah, I don't know, but I figured after watching your video, I'll give it another go. He did, and he said, actually, yeah, he also noticed that when he's like sitting at his computer working, that he seems to have more focus and concentration than before when he's wearing it, as opposed to when he doesn't. So, yeah, I can't, there are actually sources where they, I'm not sure if it's a video or I think it was on a website where some guy took one of these things apart, and it has like a 0 ohm resistor, and like electronically from normal electronic theory, it shouldn't actually do anything as far as like I or anyone else knows, but yet we also use it and it seems to actually make us feel better. So yeah, that was my experience with it. I was kind of dismayed at first, and then after about 3 weeks, as I said, I noticed this rather positive change, and I'm very happy with it. So even if I don't know exactly how it works or exactly what it's doing, I plan on continuing to use it. And if it ever stops working or I notice anything else, obviously I'll make another video and report on that. But for now, I'm very happy with it, and I would actually recommend it to other people because of my own experiences and those of all the other people I know who also basically swear by it. So whatever, man. Whatever. One last thing. YouTube recently changed its algorithms yet again, and people were complaining that they weren't receiving notifications, so they've changed the notification system. Supposedly they've improved it. As you all know, there's all kinds of crazy things going on right now with YouTube and blah, blah, blah. So if you are subscribed to my channel, if you're not subscribed, you should subscribe. If you are subscribed and you haven't clicked the notification bell, do actually click the bell, and in the little pop-up window, select all, so that you are absolutely sure that YouTube will send you notifications every time I post a new video. I have noticed I have a test account that is not associated with this YouTube account for these videos, and I actually subscribe to myself, and I've been watching over time to see how often my videos are recommended to my fake YouTube account, just so I can see what it's doing. And it's only very recently that it's actually started showing me videos again, and also even sending me notifications. So I think they actually have fixed it. But in order to be absolutely certain that you do not miss any of my videos, if you do not want to miss any, click the notification bell, select all. And finally, I also have a Teespring account, and if you want to buy some funny, quirky t-shirts, click that link up there and grab a t-shirt or two. I have mugs, I have cell phone cases, and some other fun stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. For more techie tips, see ScottiesTech.Info. Thanks for watching. See you next time.